to Walking the Path. We got some people streaming in. It's going to be a minute. Brandy, it's going to be a second while people are just getting warmed up. So
Okay.
I'm going to talk for a minute as people are coming in, streaming in. Welcome to Walking the Path. I'm so grateful and so thankful to have this opportunity to share with you guys. A week at Rythmia. Rythmia Life Advancement Center is this amazing place in Costa Rica where every week people come to find out. They come for three reasons: to see who they've become, to merge with their soul, and to heal their hearts. And we call that a miracle. When people see who they've become, they see some external aspect of a protective mask that they've put on. They think they have to be that in order to get love, in order to feel safe, in order to feel enough. And we get to see what that is through this week in the medicine. When we see what that is, we come back to a state of wholeness. Mm-hmm. And when we're whole and complete, we heal. And so when you do those three things here in 1 week at Rythmia, we call it a miracle. So every week we like to ask somebody to share about their miracle. It sounds cheesy, right? Like a miracle. Like, really? You're going to go to a place and get a miracle?
Right.
But yeah, it really happens. So, and we got someone to prove it. Hi, Brandy.
Hi.
Brandy was like, all week long, I just got to say, she was kind of struggling a little bit. But really like, all right, a minute. And then you could see like, all right. And then the next day, okay. And then by the fourth day, it was like, huh. And then one day she came into class like, no. And I went, okay, I want to talk to Brandy for Walking the Path. Okay, so enough about me talking about Brandy. And let me introduce you to Brandy.
Thank you.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about you. Where do you live?
I live in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia.
And what do you do?
I work in advertising. I'm an account director, so I just manage the relationship between the brands and my agency.
Very cool. Sounds very important.
It's not that important.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist. I'm a glorified therapist.
Really?
Yes.
Really like you?
Yeah, just like babysitting clients, essentially.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I mean, did I say that? I
It's fine. It's fine.
We're both glorified therapists.
Yeah.
Okay. So you came to Rythmia. This is your first time at Rythmia.
It is, yes.
And what brought you here? Like, I always like to ask people, was there a prayer, an intention that was like, I gotta go to this place? What brought you here?
Yeah, no, I think I feel like for the past few years of my life, maybe like 10 to 15 years, I'm not really sure. I feel like I've been existing and not really living.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through bouts of just like depression and sort of feeling down and not really making progress. And there's so many things that I want for myself. There's so many ways that I want to like expand and grow and experience and like genuinely live life. But there was always something sort of like holding me back. And I think it was fear. And I think me coming here, I wanted to release the fear and sort of like come back to like the light and love within me that, you know, genuinely believes that life is limitless and I can be and do and have anything. And I needed a spark. I just needed something to sort of like kick me in the ass and get me out of my own way. And I had a friend who came here and she had a drinking problem and it was completely healed after coming here. And I was like, oh my God, if it can heal her drinking problem, it can heal my depression and listlessness. So that is what brought me here.
I'm so grateful. A lot of times I had a drinking problem when I came here. I couldn't get it into my mouth. It was drastically it was hard, you know? So when I took the ayahuasca, I could get it in my mouth, everything. I'm sorry.
You just managed to make that connection.
I made it. And then from then on, I could drink.
Yeah, amazing. That is a miracle.
A miracle. But we're not here to talk about my miracle. We're here to talk about your miracle. Okay, so you like, there were ups and downs, there were bouts of depression. They just kind of lost the spark.
Yeah.
Lost the joie de vivre.
Yeah.
And your friend came and there was like, okay, well, if it worked for her,
right,
I gotta try it. So you came.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me about your experience at the resort from like a resort perspective, like the amenities and the service and the food and
all the things. So the resort is amazing. It's beautiful. Like, I feel like I'm in the Garden of Eden. There's just like flowers and vegetation and butterflies everywhere. It's stunning.
And
it's
monkeys.
So beautiful. And monkeys.
We just saw monkeys on the way in, right?
Yeah, it's just hanging out.
They were just
literally hanging out.
Like from the tail. They were hanging out like from like up here, like just.
Yeah, just having the best time. The pool is beautiful. The food is delicious. Everyone who works here, literally every single person is just like so lovely, so kind, so helpful. Like you really feel supported. You really feel cared for through the whole experience. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it here. I'm like, can I stay here? Can I?
You
just,
can.
Like...
You actually can.
That's true. And it's a plug for Rythmia residences.
Right.
Go ahead, do your thing.
But wait, there's more.
There totally is.
We're building a little community called Rythmia Residences. So you can, because a lot of times people come here and they're like, this is the way we should live.
Right.
Because didn't you find, it's so funny, on Monday, when you were looking around the room, were you thinking that you were going to connect with all these people? Or were you thinking like, maybe there's a couple that I could connect with, but definitely not that guy?
To an extent. Like I like to think of myself as like, it's easy for me to connect with people, but you're right. There are some people that you see that you like can instantly see like, oh, I'm going to vibe with them. Or some people you're like, I don't know. Like there were some people I didn't really talk to at the beginning of the week, but by the end of the week, we were like hugging and crying together and holding hands. So yeah, it's definitely a progression.
Totally. I mean, and I see it, I get to see it every week.
Yeah.
I get to see it every week. People come in on Monday, they're like, okay, what did I do? I don't know. And then Tuesday, they're like, oh, I just had a first ceremony. Holy moly, I don't know about this. And Wednesday, they think like, nobody's in control.
Right.
Everything's
Like,
out of freaking going. Does anybody know what's really going on here? And then by Friday, it's like, that's kind of what happened for you. Okay, so tell us about your experience, kind of the arc of your experience.
Yeah. So when I got here, I was super excited. I was ready to go. I was just like, yes, like there's so many people who come in and they were nervous about the medicine. And I wasn't really nervous. I was more so curious and excited. And as the week progressed and as we had the ceremonies, I really wasn't having that much insights or awarenesses that were coming to me like consciously. And through all the classes, everyone shares like what their experiences are with the medicine, and people are having like all of these like profound moments and these just like awarenesses just like popping into their mind and smacking them in the face. And I wasn't having any of that. I had a bunch of like body feelings, but nothing that felt very profound. And literally up until like the last night where I was just like, oh, I don't even really want to do this, but I'm here. Like I might as well just like try and push through. I didn't even have like that good of a night, and like the sun was rising because the last ceremony is all night. So prepare yourself. But the sun was rising and I was just like, okay, well, it's fine. Like I didn't really get my miracle, but it was a really good experience. I feel good. I feel happy. Like I'm just going to accept what is, And so I wanted to leave. I wanted to go back to my room. I was kind of over it. I was like, all right, like I'm ready to be by myself. And I asked one of the shamans if I could go back. And he said no, that I needed to wait and listen to Tata's last talk. And I was just like, fine, I'll stay. And I went and laid down on the mattress and I just started like breathing really deeply and just like laying there. And I started to feel just like energy, like coursing through my body. It was a really, really crazy feeling. And there was a moment where I looked down at my hands and they were just like magnetically almost like clasped together. And I was just like surprised that they were connected like that. I was like, I didn't do that. Like, why are my hands clasped together? And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is me like merging with my soul. Like maybe it's happening right now. And so then they called us up to the front. I could barely walk. I was just like so out of it and just like so like full of, I guess, energy. I don't know. And I was just laying there listening to his last talk. And he said that even though you may not consciously experience the medicine or have like visions or have sacred surgeries or these like crazy insights, that the medicine is still working within you, that it's still doing something within your soul, within your spirit. And maybe it's not happening here, but it's happening up here, like celestially or universally. Like I forget what word he used because I was kind of out of my mind, but it really like touched my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's what's happening right now. And finally I was able to get up and I didn't even feel like a human. I felt just like complete energy. Like I felt invisible. Like I just felt like I was just like vibrating. And I spoke to one of the shamans and I was like, hey, so like, I feel really weird. Like I feel like I've changed, but I didn't have any of the stuff. Like I didn't have any like crazy conscious things happen, but I feel completely different. I feel like so full of love and so happy and just like, again, just like pure energy. And he was like, you don't need to understand it. He was like, if you feel different, that is what matters. And you need to embrace that. And that it's not about like having all of these like, I don't know, like profound, like crazy moments or like seeing crazy visions. Like it's just about how the medicine works within you and it works within all of us uniquely. And I doubted it the entire week. I was just like, oh, it's not really working. Like, sure, I'm a little tingly or purging, whatever. And now I'm absolutely a believer. Like I was literally skipping out of the Maloka, like Pocahontas, just like like one with nature and one with the wind. And it was just, definitely a miracle.
It's really amazing. It's
so
really
amazing
because, you know, some people have these experiences like Jerry of like going to the moon and
right.
having all this stuff you want. And then we think that that's what it's supposed to be like.
Right. That's what I thought.
And it's different for everybody. I've never had those kind of experiences, but I've had profound sense of oneness, like ecstatic sense of oneness, what I think that people meditate for 20 years to try and achieve.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And it started so interestingly with your acceptance.
I think that is what was part of it.
It's absolutely
just like,
acceptance is what makes it real.
Mm-hmm.
And opens the space. And this isn't just in ayahuasca. This is in metaphysics. This is spiritually. Acceptance makes it real and opens the space for manifestation to rush in. So, well,
it's just, you're so right. Like literally, I was just accepting it, watching the sunrise. I was like, okay. And then within an hour, I was like,
vibrating throng of energy.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think anything's happening, but
literally, I'm like, I'm invisible. Like I'm a superhero right now. Like it was.
I'll tell you, because I taught a class on Friday morning, which is right after, like they were in ceremony until like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then there's a class at 10 and very few people attend, but she came floating in. She was like, "Hello, hi. Oh my God, I got it. Oh my God. And I was like, okay, I'm interviewing you. I don't even know what happened, but I'm interviewing you.
Yes.
You know, because it was like, and I think it's really important because so many people have those. I was sitting in the Maloka and this spaceship came and I got in and it took me to this restaurant and Buddha and Jesus were there and we had tea. It was amazing. You're like, I want that. I got the wrong stuff, you know?
Right.
Literally. But it's so different for everybody. And it's important is that you have this, you said your intention was to get a spark.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you got a spark?
100%. I got a spark and more. And I feel, I don't know, this is what I was going to tell you earlier. So like during one of JJ's classes, he was talking about how, like there's no such thing as good and evil. There's no such thing as like good and bad, that they're all just like spectrums of light, which I thought was really interesting because I've never like heard that perspective before. And there was one night, this is kind of creepy, but one of the nights where I wasn't excited.
I did not approve this.
Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't freak you out. But one of the nights, like I had taken like 4 cups of medicine and I got back to my room and like I didn't really have that good of a night. It was fine. I didn't really experience anything. But I looked in the mirror and it almost looked like I had a mask on. Like I looked scary. Like I looked like almost like possessed or demonic. And I was just like, whoa, that was freaky. And it scared me. And I think I've lived my life sort of scared or in fear to an extent. And during, like when I had my miracle, I was like, okay, like I feel amazing. And then last night we had breath work. And during breath work, I kept thinking of that image of my face. And it like kind of scared me in the moment too. I was just like, oh, like that's kind of freaky. And then through the breath work, I realized that like I have to love myself and all parts of myself, like even that like dark side of myself, like that lower vibrational, depressed, listless side of myself. Like I have to love every single part of me. So it's like I had my initial miracle, and then like breath work was just like a whole other like expansion on that. Like I don't have to fear the sides of me, like the dark sides of me or the sides of me that like I don't think are deserving of love. I have to love every single piece of me, even that dark, freaky side in the mirror at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was amazing.
That is a profound insight. This is what I love. Like it took me years of spiritual study to understand that. What she just said, it's that we have to love every part of ourselves, especially the parts that we don't like.
Yeah.
Those parts need more love, not less. And we've been spending our life, but like, I don't like that part. I don't like that part. And they push it down, and it's like, I just want to be loved. And here's the thing, that dark demonic mask, you know, people think that there's entities. Like people are like, there was an entity. Yes, there are entities. Guess what those entities are? In my opinion, those are our own thought forms, our own fear, our own doubt, our own worry, our own lack, our own limitation, our own not enoughness. We put so much energy into feeling those things. We breathe life into them, and they take on a life of their own. That mask you saw was a literal, I believe, a literal expression of your own fear.
Yes. 1,000,000%. I'm getting like chills right now. Yes.
It takes on a life of its own, and then we call them demons.
Right.
But they're us, and actually, we got to love the demons. We have to love those demons. What a great lesson for not only, because in order for us to see peace in the world, we have to see it within ourselves.
Right.
And we think that the people in the world that we disagree with, this is a lesson for me right now, the people in the world that we think that we disagree with, that we would really rather didn't exist, right? Like, I just wish people who thought like that didn't exist. Those are actually, they need more love. They need more love, just like our own thought forms, because everybody's a sacred mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, everything is a sacred mirror. Beautiful realization. Well done.
You helped. It was what you said about the spectrum of light. I was like, I could love like that part of me is still light. It's a dimmer side.
So first of all, I want to acknowledge, Arthur says the miracle is also a work in progress. Absolutely. It continues. It continues. Our surveys show that 6 months later, people are still working, and that the miracle is still active. But just to wrap up what Brandy was saying about the spectrum, right? So when I say there's no good or no evil, hot or cold, like, we live in this world where I touch something and it's hot. I know that that's hot, and I touch something and I know it's cold. So John, how can you say there's no hot or cold?
Yeah.
Here's why. Quantum physics tells us that we can never get to absolute zero. That no matter how cold it gets, there'll always be, if I go to negative 500 degrees Celsius, there's still a quantum movement, a filament. There's still movement no matter how cold it gets. And if there's movement, there's heat. So while there is hot and cold, there's really no hot and cold. They're just an expression of less heat, more or less heat. Hot and cold are an expression of heat. Light and dark are an expression of light. So no matter how dark it gets, there's light. And if we can love that dark part, we bring more light. It's still light. It's still heat. It's still good.
Yes.
No matter how evil it may appear, there's still a quantum filament of good, no matter how bad. So this realization this is how we can say it's all good. It's all love. It's all God. Because it is. It's just where are we choosing to vibrate on the octaves of life? So you were an awesome guest.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're an
all.
awesome host.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I want to thank you all for joining us, and just wishing you peace and richest blessings today as we contemplate these profound, this is like a profound philosophy class.
Yeah.
How to resolve all duality into one singularity.
Yes.
Brought to you by Rythmia and John and Brandy.
Yes.
And the letters A, B, and C. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.